The story is titled, "My Girlfriend Told My Dying Mom He'll Forget You in a Year at Hospice." I recorded it, played it at Christmas dinner, and her whole family disowned her on the spot. I haven't really slept since Christmas. Every time I close my eyes, I hear my girlfriend's voice in that hospice room, see my mom's face, and then I see her parents staring across the dinner table as their perfect daughter gets exposed. It's like my brain keeps replaying three different versions of the same nightmare on loop. But I guess I should start before hospice, before the recording, back when I still thought I was going to marry this woman. I'm Jake, 30 years old, male. I grew up super close to my mom, Linda, 58 years old, female. It was just us and my dad, Mark, 61 years old, male, in this small Ohio town where everyone knows which car your family drives. Mom was the soft person in my life. PTA volunteer, made Halloween costumes from scratch, drove me to every soccer game with a thermos of hot chocolate. When I moved 2 states away for work, we talked almost every day. Even when it shifted from "how's work" to "so the biopsy results came back," she still tried to sound like she was just calling to gossip. My girlfriend is Emily, 27 years old, female. When we met, she was this wild mix of impulsive and magnetic. Worked in social media for some boutique clothing brand, always posting little moments on her story. She had that big, contagious laugh, the kind that made waiters smile and other women look over, instantly measuring themselves against her. When she turned that spotlight on you, you felt like the only person in the room. Emily's family loved me at first. Her mom, Karen, 55 years old, female, is a Pinterest mom who lives for theme parties and curated holiday photos. Her dad, Robert, 57 years old, male, is a finance guy who calls everyone champ. First time I came over for dinner, Karen hugged me with both arms and said, "Finally, someone stable." Robert shook my hand for way too long and asked about my 401k. They liked that I was an engineer, that I owned my condo, that I wasn't one of those guys still figuring it out. When mom first got sick, stage 3 suddenly turning into, "We're going to do everything we can," I honestly thought Emily would be my rock. And to be fair, at the beginning, she was. She organized a GoFundMe without me asking. She made a meal train spreadsheet for my dad. She posted this long, heartfelt caption about watching the strongest woman I know fight the hardest battle. People flooded my DMs with hearts and prayers. I clung to that version of her like a life raft. But little cracks started showing. If I stayed late at the hospital and forgot to text, she'd blow up my phone with, "So I just don't exist tonight? And glad your real family matters. Must be nice." If mom had a bad day and I canceled a date, she'd say, "You can't keep letting her sickness control our lives, Jake. What about us?" It was always "our" in the sentences where she was actually just talking about herself. And I kept telling myself she was just stressed. We all were. I didn't know yet how far she'd go to make sure she stayed the main character in my story. The worse my mom got, the smaller my world felt. Chemo failed. Then the aggressive new trial failed. By summer, the doctors switched from talking about cure to comfort-focused care, and I swear I watched a light go out behind my dad's eyes. Mark started moving slower, like every step cost him extra energy he didn't have, but he still ironed a shirt and shaved every time we went to see her, like he was taking her on a date. That wrecked me. Emily already did not adjust well. At first, she still came with me to the hospital, full face of makeup, Starbucks in one hand, phone in the other. She'd kiss my cheek, pose near mom's bed for a family strength selfie, then spend half the visit scrolling. Mom, because she's mom, would say, "Oh, honey, don't let me bore you." And Emily would go, "No, no, I'm listening," without looking up. The first real crack was the night mom fell trying to get to the bathroom. Dad called me panicking. I drove like a maniac to the ER. I forgot to text Emily. When I finally checked my phone, I had 9 missed calls and this novel of texts. "So you just disappear now? Must be nice having 2 families to choose from. Tell your mommy thanks for stealing my boyfriend tonight." I called her from the hallway by the vending machines, hands still shaking from signing forms. She picked up sobbing and immediately started screaming, not asking if mom was okay, not asking if I was okay. Just, "I made dinner for you, Jake." Do you know how stupid I felt eating alone? You are obsessed with her. It's unhealthy. I remember staring at the out-of-order sign on the Coke machine and thinking, this is what's broken, not me, not Mom. This. When Mom was moved to hospice, it got worse. The hospice was an hour away, and I went almost every day. Emily started counting my visits like they were cheating. One night, I came home from a 12-hour stretch at hospice, helping Mom eat, rubbing lotion into her paper-thin hands, and walked into my apartment to find Emily standing in the kitchen, surrounded by broken glass. She'd taken one of the framed photos of me and Mom from the bookshelf and smashed it on the countertop. The picture was face down in the glitter of glass, a crack slicing right through my smile. You don't live here anymore, she said, voice shaking. You live there. With her. Maybe you should just move into hospice too. I was so tired I laughed, this ugly, hollow sound. She's dying, Emily. And what about us? She threw back. What about our future? You think she'll be here forever? She won't. I will. Something about the way she said it made my stomach turn. Like my mom's death was just a scheduling conflict for her. I swept the photo out of the glass with my bare hand. A tiny shard pierced my thumb, blood smearing across Mom's printed face. It felt like some messed up metaphor I couldn't unsee. That night, for the first time, I thought, I might actually hate this person. Update. Okay, wow. I wasn't expecting so many people to read the first part of this. A lot of you asked the same question in different ways. Why didn't you just leave? Trust me, I've been beating myself up with that one too. The short version is, I was running on fumes. My days were work, hospice, crash. Emily wasn't all bad all the time. She'd still show up with soup for my dad, still post these sappy captions about supporting my man through the hardest season. Strangers kept telling me how lucky I was to have her. It messed with my head. Some of you also asked how my mom felt about Emily by this point. I'll get into that next because my mom saw more than I did. She tried to warn me in her own quiet way, and that leads directly to the hospice room conversation I can't stop hearing in my head. The day everything snapped, the hospice room felt smaller than usual. Mom was propped up on extra pillows, skin almost translucent, Christmas movie playing on mute because the sound bothered her headaches. My phone was on the tray next to her water cup, quietly recording like it had for weeks while she told stories or dozed. Emily was already in a mood when we walked in. The parking lot was full, the coffee shop downstairs had run out of oat milk, and the room smelled like bleach and sadness. Her words, not mine. She dropped into the visitor chair with a sigh loud enough to make Mom flinch. Hey, sweetheart, Mom whispered. You made it. Yeah, Emily said, pulling out her phone. Traffic was insane. Dad had gone to talk to the doctor. Mom looked exhausted. After a few minutes, she whispered that she felt nauseous, so I went to find a nurse. I hesitated, looking between her and Emily. Go, Mom said. I'm okay. We're just girl talking. I walked out, still thinking about dosage charts. I wasn't gone long, maybe 10 minutes, but it felt longer. When I came back, Emily was sitting forward, elbows on her knees, eyes cold. Mom's eyes were glassy, fixed on the ceiling. Neither of them said anything while the nurse adjusted Mom's meds. It felt off, heavier. It wasn't until that night, sitting in my car in the hospice parking lot with my forehead against the steering wheel, that I remembered the recording. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands, found the file from that afternoon, and hit play. I heard the door click after I left. Silence. Then Emily's voice, low and sharp in a way I'd never heard around my parents. You know he's not going to be like this forever, right? She said. He's a mess now, but grief fades. He'll move on. People forget. Mom's voice was barely audible. I don't want him to forget. I want him to be okay. That's my point, Emily said, a little laugh in her voice. He'll be okay because he'll forget. You're acting like you're the only woman in his life. But you're not. I am. In a year, he'll barely remember this. He'll forget you the way people forget their high school teachers. That's how it works. There was this long, awful silence. I heard Mom's uneven breathing, the distant beep of the monitor. When she finally spoke, her voice sounded like it came from far away. I hope, Mom whispered, that he never forgets how you made him feel today. Emily scoffed. You're just scared he'll stop worshiping you. But he loves me. I'm the one he's building a life with, not you. You're temporary. Something in the background rattled. Mom trying to move, maybe. And then my own footsteps came back in, clueless. I don't remember punching the steering wheel, but my knuckles were suddenly throbbing, and there was a new crack in the plastic around the radio. I replayed it twice, 3 times, each time feeling my chest burn hotter. My mom, hooked up to an IV, listening to my girlfriend tell her she was replaceable. Emily texted while I sat there. Ugh, that visit drained me. Can you come over? I need cuddles lol. For the first time since Mom got sick, I felt calm. Ice cold. Terrifyingly calm. A week later, Karen called, all bright and chirpy. We're doing Christmas Eve at our place this year, she said. Big dinner, matching pajamas, all that cheesy stuff. You have to come. We'll set up the projector. If you have any videos of your mom, we'd love to see them. We've been praying for you, honey. I looked at the file on my phone, renamed it From Mom for Christmas. I'll bring something, I told her. Yeah, I've got the perfect recording. Mom died 3 days after that recording. There wasn't some big dramatic TV moment. No final speech. She just got quieter and quieter until even her breathing sounded apologetic. I was there with Dad, holding one of her hands while the morphine drip clicked. Emily couldn't get off work, but still somehow found time to post a black and white selfie with the caption, Holding space for grief today. Hug your loved ones extra tight. I turned my phone face down so I wouldn't throw it at the wall. The funeral was a blur of casseroles and hymns. Emily wore a tight black dress that kept riding up when she knelt. She cried loud, messy sobs that made people I barely knew pat her back and tell her how strong she was. At the reception in the church basement, she cornered me in the hallway by the bathrooms and hissed, You've barely looked at me all day. Do you know how hard this is for me? I just stared at her. Somewhere under all the shock and anger, something in me had gone very still. I kept thinking about that line. I'm the one he's building a life with, not you. You're temporary. Temporary. Dad moved in with my aunt for a while. I went back to work. I went through the motions. Emily tried to slide back into supportive girlfriend mode, dropping off food, leaving little notes, but I couldn't unhear her voice in that room. Every time she touched me, I felt like I was being handled by a stranger. Then December rolled around. Karen called every couple of days planning Christmas Eve. It'll be good for you to be around family, she said. We want to celebrate Linda's memory too, honey. Maybe you could bring something of hers? A video? We'll set up the Bluetooth speaker, make it special. The calm came back, cold and clean. On Christmas Eve, I showed up with a tin of store-bought cookies in my phone. The house looked like a Hallmark set. White lights, fake snow on the windows, Karen's monogrammed stockings over the fireplace. Karen hugged me so tight I could feel her ribs. Robert clapped my shoulder and handed me a whiskey. Emily floated around in matching plaid pajamas, acting like nothing had ever been wrong. Dinner was turkey, mashed potatoes, the works. Halfway through, Karen wiped her eyes and said, Okay, before dessert, I thought maybe Jake could share something of Linda's. You brought a recording, right? Everyone turned to me. Emily smiled, this soft, performative thing she does when she wants to look like the perfect girlfriend. Under the table, she squeezed my knee. Yeah, I said. My voice sounded weirdly steady. It's a short one. From hospice. Mom talking. Karen fussed with the little portable speaker, pairing it to my phone. The room got quiet, just the clink of silverware and the hum of the dishwasher in the kitchen. The Christmas tree lights blinked red and green on the polished table. I opened the file labeled From Mom for Christmas and hit play. First, you hear the door click. My footsteps fade, a little rustle of sheets. Then Emily's voice, clear and sharp in the cozy dining room. You know he's not going to be like this forever, right? He's a mess now, but grief fades. He'll move on. People forget. Karen's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Robert's jaw clenched. The recording kept going. Mom's fragile voice. Emily's scoff. That awful line. In a year, he'll barely remember this. He'll forget you. You're temporary. When Mom's last words played, I hope that he never forgets how you made him feel today. Karen made this strangled sound and slapped a hand over her mouth. The speaker crackled into silence. No one moved. Then Robert stood up so fast his chair slammed into the wall behind him. The sound made the ornaments on the tree rattle. What the hell was that? He said, staring at Emily like she was a stranger who'd wandered in off the street. Update 2. Okay, so, yeah, that Christmas Eve clip, that was not the end of it. A lot of you messaged like, did they seriously just sit there after that? And no way her family actually disowned her over one recording. So let me fill in the blanks a bit before I get to the truly unhinged part. First, timing. I didn't play it to be dramatic for random bystanders. I did it because Karen literally asked me to share a recording of my mom, and because every single person at that table thought Emily was this saint walking me through grief. I wanted the mask off. For them, and honestly for me too. Second, legality. A bunch of you asked if it was legal to record in the hospice room. I'm not going to get into specifics because I don't want this post tied to my real name, but where we live, it's one-party consent. I was that party. So yeah, it's ugly, but it's legal. As for disowned her on the spot, I get how wild that sounds. But you have to understand who Karen and Robert think they are. They're big on image, reputation. What would the church think? Hearing their daughter tell a dying woman she's temporary? And then hearing that dying woman respond like some kind of quiet moral sledgehammer? It was like watching glass crack starting from the center. What you didn't see in the last part is what happened immediately after Robert said, "What the hell was that?" Emily tried to lie, like instantly. "That's edited," she said. "Jake cut it. He's trying to make me look bad." She actually grabbed for my phone across the table, knocked over her wine glass, and sent red wine all over Karen's perfect white table runner and the little nativity scene. Yes, I have a photo of baby Jesus drowned in Merlot. No, I'm not posting it. A lot of you asked if I regret doing it that way instead of just breaking up with her privately. Short answer, no. Long answer, I was done protecting her from the consequences of her own mouth. My mom heard those words alone in a bed she was never walking out of. The least Emily could do was hear them too, with witnesses. But here's where it gets messy. You'd think that kind of public humiliation would make someone back off, right? Nope. Emily does not back off. She goes nuclear. Within 24 hours of that dinner, she was on my doorstep, mascara streaked, screaming so loud my neighbor started filming, and that was before she saw what I'd done with my mom's things, and before she decided to make me feel what betrayal really feels like. That's where things go from sweet revenge to full-on disaster. Robert's voice cracked the air like a gunshot. What the hell was that? For a second, Emily just froze, eyes huge, staring at the little black speaker like it had betrayed her personally. Then she snapped her head toward me. "You edited that," she said. "Tell them, Jake. That's not what I said." My chair scraped back. "I didn't touch it." She lunged across the table for my phone. Her elbow hit her wine glass, sent it tipping. Red wine cascaded across Karen's perfect white runner, straight into the ceramic nativity scene. Mary and Joseph went skidding. Baby Jesus did a full backflip into a pool of Merlot. Karen made this strangled animal sound. "Emily! It's fake!" Emily shrieked, trying to pry my phone out of my hand. Her nails dug into my wrist. "He's twisting things to make me look crazy because he's obsessed with his dead mom." The room went dead silent at dead mom. Karen stood up slowly, like her joints hurt. Her face looked wrong, like all the Botox in the world couldn't hold it together anymore. "Did you say those words to Linda?" she asked. No mom voice, just ice. Emily's eyes darted between us. I was trying to help him move on. She was manipulating him. She wanted him to stay a little boy forever. You don't understand." Robert slammed his hand on the table so hard the plates rattled. "Answer your mother." Emily's mouth opened and closed. She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no. And that was it. Karen took off her cloth napkin and set it on the wine-soaked table, very precisely. "Get out," she said. Emily laughed, this high, desperate sound. Mom, seriously? You're taking their side over your own daughter? Karen's voice shook. I did not raise you to talk to a dying woman like that. I don't even recognize you. Her eyes flicked to me, filling with tears. I am so sorry, Jake. Karen, Emily moved toward her, hand out, and Karen flinched back like she'd been burned. Get out, Robert repeated. You will apologize to Jake and to Linda's memory, or you are not welcome in this house again. Emily looked at me like I was supposed to save her. That used to work. Not anymore. I'm done, I said quietly. We're over. Something in her snapped. She grabbed the edge of the table and yanked. Silverware clattered, gravy sloshed. The whole stupid Pinterest-worthy spread shuddered. You're all insane, she screamed. Fine, disown me. See if I care. He's going to come crawling back when he realizes all he has left is a dead woman and a sad old man. Robert pointed to the door. Karen turned away and started sobbing into a dish towel. Emily stormed out, yanking her coat so hard she ripped a button clean off. The front door slammed. An ornament fell from the tree and shattered on the hardwood. I went home to my empty condo, set my mom's old cross-stitch, "Be kind, you don't know what someone is carrying," on the shelf where the smash photo had been, and finally slept for more than 2 hours. It lasted exactly until the next afternoon, when pounding rattled my door hard enough to shake the peephole, and Emily's voice tore down the hallway. Open up, Jake. You don't get to humiliate me and just walk away. Open up, Jake. The door actually shook in the frame. I just stood there in the hallway, staring at the wood like I could will it to grow thicker. Through the peephole, Emily looked unhinged. Mascara smeared, hair half up, half falling out of a claw clip, phone in her hand recording herself. You don't get to humiliate me in front of my family and then ghost me, she screamed at the door, at her phone, at the universe. You turned my own parents against me. You think that makes you some kind of hero? My heart was pounding, but underneath it was that same cold clarity. I hit record on my own phone and slipped it into my pocket. Go away, I said through the door. My voice came out calm, which almost scared me. We're done, Emily. You need to leave. She kicked the door so hard the picture in the hallway shook. Coward, open this, or I swear to God I will make sure everyone knows what you did to me. My neighbor's door cracked open. Mrs. Patel, retired and nosy in the best way, stuck her head out. I already called the police, she told Emily, not even looking at me. Go before you get yourself arrested, dear. Emily spun on her. Mind your own business, you old... She didn't finish, because I think she realized in that second that every door on the floor was cracked open, cameras out. No adoring audience, no sympathy, just witnesses. She stormed down the hall, still yelling. I watched from my balcony as she marched to the parking lot, straight to my car. She yanked off her heel and used the stiletto to drag a long, ugly line down the driver's side. Then she smashed the side mirror clean off with her hand. The sound of it hitting the asphalt was satisfying in a sick way, like a full stop at the end of a nightmare sentence. I filmed all of it. By the time the cops showed up, she was trying to flip the story, crying, saying I'd been emotionally abusive, that I'd doctored audio of a private conversation. Then Mrs. Patel handed over her hallway video. I showed them the car, the texts, the hospice recording. They didn't arrest her, but they did write up a report, gave her a trespass warning, told her if she came back, she'd be spending the night in a cell. Watching her realize they weren't buying it was its own quiet reward. The next week, the online part started. Emily went on Instagram with a wall of text about her toxic ex who exploited his grief for attention. She tagged me. She tagged her employer. She posted old photos of us with captions like, "Crazy how the person you die for will bury you instead." I didn't respond publicly. I just sent the full hospice audio and the Christmas Eve clip to a few mutual friends who'd messaged, confused. I told them, believe whoever you want. This is what happened. I don't know who shared it onward, but 2 days later, her brand quietly removed her from their website. A week after that, Karen texted me from an unknown number. We changed the locks. She's not living here. I'm so sorry for everything she said to Linda. We will never forget her. That one made me cry. Not because of Emily, because of the never forget. Months have passed now. The car's been fixed. I blocked Emily everywhere. I heard through a mutual that she's crashing on some friend's couch, telling a version of the story where I'm a monster. Let her. I'm done living in her narrative. Dad and I went through Mom's things last weekend. In the bottom of a shoebox, I found one of her old sticky notes, my handwriting from first grade, crooked and messy, with her reply underneath. I will never be temporary to you. Love, Mom. I kept exactly 2 recordings on my phone. One is Mom telling a stupid joke about my terrible high school haircut. The other is the hospice conversation, not because I want to hear Emily, because sometimes when I start wondering if I went too far, I hit play just long enough to hear Mom say, I hope that he never forgets how you made him feel today. That was my revenge, making sure the world saw her the way my mom did in that moment, and then choosing to walk away. I haven't forgotten, Mom, and I never will.